The sky outside was gray as Wendy sat across from Elaine's spotless desk, watching her boss flip through the promotion file with polished disinterest. 5 years of sacrificed weekends, missed family dinners, and countless late nights were condensed into a 20-page portfolio that Elaine barely skimmed before setting it aside. "I appreciate your enthusiasm," Elaine said, adjusting her designer glasses. "But I've reviewed your application carefully, and while your work has been acceptable, I don't believe you're ready for senior management, perhaps in another year or two." Acceptable. The word fell between us like a stone. I had maintained the department's top client satisfaction ratings, personally saved the Lawford account when everyone else had given up, and hadn't taken a real weekend off in 3 years. Yet I only smiled and nodded, the perfected expression of corporate survival. "I understand. Thank you for the feedback." "I'm glad we're on the same page," Elaine replied, already checking her watch. "The Ellison proposal needs your attention today. They've requested additional metrics before signing." As I gathered my things, she was already typing an email, my disappointment forgotten as quickly as it had been dismissed. I walked past the corner office that should have been mine, with its glass door and wide window where my name ought to have gleamed. In the parking garage, I sat behind the wheel, staring into the rearview mirror. The woman staring back wasn't sad or even angry. She was calculating. I started the engine and made 2 decisions that would change everything. I would cancel my upcoming vacation and stop writing my daily operational guides. No one at the office knew it yet, but their flawless system was about to crumble without its unseen foundation. Before I tell you what came next, you might be wondering why so many people remain trapped in jobs where their worth goes unnoticed. If my story strikes a chord with you, make sure to like and subscribe. I share a new career strategy every week that could completely transform your professional life. Now back to what followed after that meeting. My name is Amelia Carlton, and until that day I was the most dependable employee at Meridian Solutions. Not the most visible, not the highest paid, but the one who kept the wheels turning while others basked in the spotlight. I'm naturally methodical, with an almost photographic memory for systems and processes. Growing up with 4 younger siblings taught me to anticipate problems before they blew up, a skill that transferred seamlessly into corporate life. When I joined the company 5 years ago, I inherited utter chaos. The former team leader had abruptly left after clashing with management, taking all procedural knowledge with them. No documents, no handover notes, not even passwords to vital systems. The department was in disarray. Clients threatened to pull contracts, and no one had a clue how to stabilize things. I spent 3 exhausting months reverse engineering every workflow, staying until midnight, decoding spreadsheets, and rebuilding client records from scratch. I created detailed manuals for every process, color-coded, indexed, and carefully organized. My boss, Elaine, never took the time to learn these systems. Why would she, when I managed everything flawlessly? "You're a natural problem solver," she'd tell me during performance reviews, always followed by a modest raise that never matched the effort. The company had recently secured a massive contract with Ellison Enterprises, a client worth millions in annual revenue. I had built that relationship from nothing, working late to align with their overseas schedule and mastering their industry inside out. Elaine attended only 3 meetings, mainly to take credit during quarterly executive updates. Every morning, I arrived at 7:30 sharp to prepare briefing notes for Elaine before her 9 hours management session. Each evening, I sent detailed updates on all active projects. In between, I extinguished fires before anyone smelled the smoke. The morning after my denied promotion, something shifted within me. I arrived at exactly 9 by Corsaish, not 7:30, not 8:45, exactly 9. I prepared no briefing notes. I answered only the emails addressed directly to me and ignored the rest. When a supplier crisis erupted, I redirected it to the correct department instead of resolving it myself, as usual. By noon, 3 colleagues had stopped by my desk, confusion written all over their faces. "Amelia, did you see the thread about..." The Lawford scheduling issue? Asked Peter from accounts. Yes, I said, still typing. He waited, uneasy, expecting more. So, can you fix it like you usually do? I looked up. That actually falls under procurement. I forwarded it to Diane. His brows rose slightly. But you always handle these things. I've been advised to focus on my assigned responsibilities, I said with a faint smile. I'm just trying to show that I know my proper place in the organization. By 5 p.m., I packed up my things and left. No extra hours. No bringing work home. During the drive, I canceled the cabin reservation for my upcoming vacation, the first real break I'd planned in 3 years. Instead, I would stay and watch the system collapse under its own weight. That evening, my phone buzzed endlessly with work notifications. I silenced it and spent the night with my daughter, Elena, baking chocolate chip cookies, something I hadn't done in months. As we laughed at the misshapen dough, I felt a heavy pressure lift off my shoulders. Mom, why are you home early? Elena asked, licking batter from a spoon. I hesitated, thinking how to explain corporate politics to a 10-year-old. I decided my time is valuable, sweetheart, and I want to spend more of it with you. She grinned. Can we do this tomorrow too? Absolutely, I promised, ignoring the phone buzzing insistently on the counter. By the next morning, the first cracks were already showing at work. The Ellison client had requested urgent changes to their implementation plan, changes only I knew how to execute. Elaine tried to lead the response team but quickly unraveled without my usual detailed briefings. Where are the process notes for the Ellison customizations? She demanded, appearing at my desk at 10:30. They're in the shared drive, I replied smoothly. Under client implementations, I mentioned it in last month's department meeting. There are hundreds of files there. Which one specifically? I pulled up the folder on my screen. The master document is titled Ellison Enterprise Integration, Complete Process Documentation. It's organized by module with tabbed sections. Elaine stared at the 200-page document, her expression wavering between confusion and dread. Can you just handle this directly? The client is waiting. I'd be happy to, I said politely. But I have the quarterly compliance review this afternoon. I can get to Ellison first thing tomorrow. Her jaw tightened. This can't wait until tomorrow. I understand, I replied evenly. Would you like me to reschedule the compliance review? It's due to regulators by end of day. She left without another word, her heels striking sharply down the hallway. That evening, I silenced all work notifications and took Elena to the park. My personal phone sat quietly beside me on the bench while I watched her swing, her laughter echoing through the cool evening air. For the first time in years, I was fully present. When we returned home, I checked my work phone once. 79 missed calls from company numbers. The voicemails ranged from confused to desperate to furious. The Ellison team was threatening to pull their contract. 3 systems had malfunctioned, all issues thoroughly documented in my guides, which no one had read. The quarterly compliance report was still unfinished. I set the phone down and slept more peacefully than I had in years. The next morning, I arrived at precisely 9 once again. The office had transformed overnight. Colleagues darted between meeting rooms. Elaine's silhouette was visible through her office glass as she gestured frantically on a video call, and the regional director's assistant paced nervously near the elevators. I calmly settled at my desk and began organizing my to-do list. Where have you been? Peter hissed, rushing to my side, eyes wide. Everything's falling apart. Elaine's been trying to reach you since yesterday. I left at 5, I replied evenly. My work hours are 9 to 5 n, as stated in my contract. But the Ellison crisis, what about it? He stammered. They're threatening to walk. Nobody can figure out how to make the updates they requested. I nodded slowly. That process requires specialized handling. It's all outlined in the guide I created last year. Nobody can make sense of your documentation without you explaining it, he nearly shouted. Before I could answer, Elaine's assistant appeared breathlessly. Amelia, emergency meeting in the conference room. Now. I gathered my notebook and pen and walked, calmly, to the conference room where Elaine sat beside the regional director, Byron Wallace. Their faces were tense, folders spread across the polished table. Amelia, Byron said, relief flooding his voice. Thank goodness you're here. We need your help with the Ellison situation. I took a seat, placing my notebook neatly in front of me. Of course, I said, voice steady. How can I assist? Elaine's expression was taut with barely contained anger. Let's get to the point, she said. What will it take for you to fix this? The promotion. It's yours. I tilted my head slightly. That's a generous offer, I said. But I've been approached by a competitor. They've offered me a senior management position with a considerable salary increase. Apparently, they believe I'm qualified. The room fell into silence as Byron's eyes widened and Elaine's narrowed sharply. You're leaving? Byron asked, his voice edged with disbelief. When? I kept my tone calm. I haven't accepted their offer yet. I'm still considering my options. Name your price, Byron said instantly. Whatever they're offering, we'll match it. I smiled faintly. It's not just about money. It's about recognition, respect, and opportunity. Elaine leaned forward, her voice tight. The Ellison client specifically requested you by name. You can't possibly leave now. Interesting, I said evenly. So did 4 others in the past month. I reached into my bag and placed a folder on the table. Here's my 2 weeks' notice. I'll assist with the transition as required by my contract. Elaine moved to grab the folder, but Byron was faster. He opened it, skimmed the contents, then shut it firmly. This won't be necessary, he said. Amelia, I'd like to speak with you privately in my office. As I rose to follow him, Elaine remained seated, her knuckles white against the polished table. The company's reaction to my resignation was about to reveal just how much they had underestimated me and what they were willing to do now that they finally saw my worth. I walked behind Byron to his corner office, aware of the curious glances from colleagues as we passed. His office was sleek and commanding, awards lining one wall and floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic city view. He gestured for me to sit. I've been watching your performance for a while, he began, folding his hands, though perhaps not as closely as I should have. I stayed silent. The situation with Elaine concerns me, he admitted. This is the first I've heard of your promotion being denied. Why didn't you come to me directly? Chain of command, I replied evenly. Elaine's my supervisor. Going over her head felt inappropriate. He nodded slowly. Admirable, but maybe misplaced in this case. Tell me honestly, what would it take to keep you here? I chose my words carefully. Proper recognition for my work. Fair compensation, and a position where I can lead with my own strategies instead of executing someone else's vision. Byron studied me for a long moment. I'm creating a new position, Director of Operational Systems. You'd report directly to me. Double your current salary. 3 remote days a week. Full authority over workflow design. The position is yours if you want it. I didn't answer right away, and he seemed surprised. Is that not enough, he asked. It's generous, I said. But this isn't a bluff. There's another company waiting for my decision. Byron leaned back thoughtfully. What can they offer that we can't match? A clean slate, I said simply. No history of being overlooked. No co-workers who still see me as support staff instead of leadership. He sighed. Fair point. But consider this. You've built systems here you know better than anyone. Clients who trust you. Starting over means rebuilding all of that from scratch. He was right. 5 years of institutional knowledge couldn't be easily replaced. But neither could the feeling of constantly being undervalued. I'll need time to think, I said finally. Of course, he replied. Take the weekend. But I'll need an answer by Monday morning. He stood, signaling the meeting's end. And Amelia, please stabilize the Ellison account before making any final decisions. I nodded. I'll handle Ellison personally today. When I returned to my desk, an email from Byron already waited. His offer in writing. The salary figure made me blink twice. It was more than double what I currently earned. The job description read as if it had been tailored for me. I was gathering materials for the Ellison meeting when Elaine appeared beside my desk, her expression carefully neutral. "We need to talk," she said quietly. "Not here. Lunch." "I have the Ellison call at noon," I said evenly. "After that, then my office at 2. She nodded, and I turned my attention back to the crisis in front of me. The Ellison team sounded frustrated but instantly relieved once I joined the call. Their requests were demanding, customizations that should take weeks, needed within days. I laid out a phased strategy, addressing their most urgent needs first, while ensuring the long-term vision stayed intact. "This is exactly why we wanted to work with your company," their director said. "You understand our business goals, not just the technical side." When the call ended, I documented every step clearly and sent it to the implementation team with precise instructions. Normally, I'd handle everything personally, but today I delegated, remaining available for questions, not ownership. At 2 o'clock, I knocked on Elaine's door. She looked smaller somehow, shadows under her eyes hinting at a sleepless night. "Close the door," she said quietly, motioning to the chair across from her desk. "I understand Byron offered you a new position." "He did," I confirmed. She exhaled slowly. "I won't pretend I'm thrilled, but I get it. You're valuable to the company." I waited, sensing she wasn't finished. "I owe you an apology," she admitted, her tone strained. "I've depended on your competence without giving proper credit or reward. Can I ask you something?" I said, genuinely curious. "When you said I wasn't qualified for senior management, what exactly did you think I was missing?" Elaine shifted uneasily. "You've always been the technical one, the problem solver behind the curtain. Senior management requires visibility, presence, politics." "In other words," I said coolly, "I do the work while others get the spotlight." Her expression faltered. "That's oversimplifying." "Is it?" I asked. "Who presented the winning Ellison strategy to the executives?" "I did, but based on your proposal," she admitted softly. "The client retention plan last quarter that saved 4 accounts? Who got the leadership award?" "That was a team effort," she said weakly. "A team I led, coordinated, and produced every deliverable for," I reminded her. I leaned forward. "I'm not unqualified, Elaine. I've just been invisible while others stood on my shoulders." The silence between us stretched long. "Are you taking Byron's offer?" she asked finally. "I haven't decided." "If you stay," she said carefully, "things will be different between us." "Yes," I agreed quietly. "They will." The weekend gave me clarity away from the office. I took Elena to the Science Museum on Saturday, a promise I'd made for months but never kept. On Sunday, I called my sister. "What does your gut say?" she asked. "That I've outgrown the box they built for me," I said. "But I'm not sure if Byron's offer changes that or just makes the box prettier." "Would you still report to Elaine?" she asked. "No, directly to Byron." "And what happens to Elaine?" "He didn't say, but I suspect her role is being reconsidered." My sister was silent a moment. "So your choices are a fresh start, or a promotion that could demote your old boss." Hearing it that way made it heavier. "I don't want revenge," I said quietly. "I just want acknowledgement." "Are you sure?" she pressed. "Because it sounds like part of you would enjoy seeing her face the consequences of underestimating you." Her words hit closer than I wanted to admit. Was that what I wanted? To see Elaine humbled, forced to recognize how much she'd leaned on me while dismissing my worth? By Monday morning, my decision was made. I arrived early, 7:30 a.m., like I used to, and walked straight to Byron's office. His assistant hadn't arrived yet, but his door was open. "You're early," he noted, glancing up. "I wanted to give you my answer before things get busy," I said, taking a seat. "I'm accepting your offer, with 2 conditions." His eyebrows lifted. "I'm listening." "First, I want full authority to build my own team. 3 hires I consider essential." Byron nodded. "Reasonable." "And the second?" "Elaine stays in her current position. This clearly caught him off guard. After how she treated you, why? Because replacing her won't fix the structural problems in the department, I explained, and I don't want my first leadership act to look like revenge. Byron regarded me with new interest. That's unexpected and politically wise. I've learned a few things watching from the sidelines, I said. Very well. Elaine stays, though her department will now coordinate operational matters through your office. Thank you. No, Amelia, Byron corrected, extending his hand. Thank you for staying. The announcement goes out this morning. Be prepared for some reactions, he wasn't wrong. At 10 a.m., the company-wide email announced my new role and expanded responsibilities. My inbox flooded instantly with congratulations, questions, and meeting requests. Peter stopped by looking slightly sheepish. So, you're my boss now? Technically, yes, I confirmed. Is that a problem? He shook his head quickly. No, it's great. You've always been the one who actually knows what's going on anyway. Throughout the day, colleagues who had barely noticed me suddenly found reasons to introduce themselves. Administrative assistants who had always been kind now smiled knowingly. They understood better than anyone how invisible work kept the company running. Elaine avoided me until late afternoon, when she approached with a folder. The quarterly strategy document, she said stiffly. Since operational planning falls under your purview, you'll need to present this at tomorrow's executive meeting. I accepted it. Thank you. I'll review it tonight. She turned to leave, but paused. For what it's worth, I didn't recommend against your promotion because I thought you were incapable. I did it because I couldn't afford to lose you from my team. Perhaps the most honest thing she'd ever said. That's the core issue, isn't it? I replied. Good managers develop their people, even if it means letting them move on. She nodded sharply once and walked away. That evening I stayed late, reorganizing my workspace for my new role. Byron stopped by on his way out. Still here? Thought you'd be celebrating. I smiled. I'll celebrate this weekend. Right now I'm planning. Planning what? He asked. How to ensure no one else in this company is overlooked the way I was. I handed him a document I'd been refining. This is my proposed structure for the new department, including training programs to identify internal talent and systematically develop it. He flipped through the pages, eyebrows rising. You developed all this today? No, I admitted. I've been refining it for about 2 years. I just never had the authority to implement it. Byron shook his head, impressed. Remind me never to underestimate you, Amelia. That's the plan, I said with a smile. 3 months later, transformation was well underway. My team included a brilliant systems analyst who had been buried in IT support and a process developer miscast as an administrative assistant. Together, we streamlined operations across 4 departments, cutting overtime by 40% while boosting productivity metrics. Elaine and I maintained a professional relationship, respectful, though not friendly. Freed from operational details, she excelled at client-facing interactions. Employee satisfaction scores across the division improved dramatically. The Ellison contract expanded to include 2 additional service lines, specifically requesting my new team. Their CEO personally called Byron to commend the company's operational turnaround. On a Friday afternoon, 6 months after my non-promotion, I left the office at 5 p.m., maintaining a habit I'd kept despite added responsibilities. Elena was waiting at home, homework spread across the kitchen table. How was work, Mom? She asked, looking up from her math problems. Productive? I replied, setting down my laptop bag. The new training program launched today. 25 employees are getting development opportunities they wouldn't have had before. Like you didn't get. Children see more than we realize. Yes, exactly like that, I said. She paused thoughtfully. That's a nice way to fix things. Instead of getting angry, you're making it better for others. I smiled, appreciating the wisdom in her words. Sometimes the best response to being undervalued isn't anger. It's showing your true worth so clearly that it can never be questioned again. That evening, As Elena slept and I reviewed presentations for Monday's executive meeting, my phone buzzed with a text from Byron. Board approved your promotion to VP level, effective next month. Unanimous vote. Elaine actually gave the strongest recommendation. Congratulations. I set the phone down, a warm sense of satisfaction settling over me. This wasn't about winning or revenge. It was about finally being seen, truly seen, for what I had always been capable of achieving. The corner office with my name on the door was nice, but it wasn't the real victory. The victory was transforming a system that had failed not just me, but countless others whose quiet competence went unnoticed. The victory was creating pathways for others to rise without needing to become invisible first. Sometimes the most powerful response to being underestimated isn't proving others wrong. It's crafting a world where talent can no longer be ignored, no matter how quietly it performs. If you've ever felt invisible at work while carrying more than your share, I hope my story gives you courage. The skills that make you indispensable are the very ones that qualify you for leadership. Don't wait for recognition. Demonstrate your value so clearly that denying it becomes impossible. And if you found value in this story, please like and subscribe for more strategies on transforming workplace dynamics. Remember, your worth isn't defined by others' inability to see it. It's measured by the impact you create, whether acknowledged or not.